Hi, I'm Jon Beck here in Elmira, Spain, riding around on Moto Guzzi's new V85 TT lineup. And while the reintroduction of the Stelvio has arguably gained more media attention this year, the updates to the V85 TT models are significant, especially when you consider this bike has remained virtually unchanged since 2019. For 2024, the V85 lineup consists of three models: the V85 Strada, the V85 TT, and the V85 TT Travel, which you see here. Now, the switch clusters and all that remain the same. Before even getting on the bike and riding it, a few things stood out. You see the switches, they have that same fine level of design that they had before. However, the previous bike only had three ride modes. It was rain, road, and off-road. Now, the new bikes have different ride modes distributed among all the levels, but weirdly on the old bike, those ride modes were accessed via the starter button. You'd use it to start the bike, then it would change into a mode selector button. This year, the bike has become a little bit more intuitive in that they have a dedicated mode button, and now each bike, the Strada, the TT, and the Travel, have different levels depending on which package you purchase. The V85 Strada again has three ride modes, just like the previous version of Sport, Road, and Rain. We'll come back to that in a minute. The TT version, the V85 TT, has an additional mode, which is an dedicated off-road mode, and the TT Travel version has all the modes of the TT plus an additional customizable mode. It's important to note that the other two models can also have that customizable user mode, but it's as an additional option. When you look at the ride modes, it's easy to see how they connect to the physical structure of the bikes. The V85 Strada is positioned as sort of the lightest, sportiest model in the lineup. It lacks the rear grab handles and rack, it lacks the skid plate, it has aluminum cast wheels that are 8.8 pounds lighter, I believe, than the other bikes. When you move to the TT, you're opening up some off-road possibilities with tubeless spoked wheels, you're adding a skid plate, you're adding a dedicated off-road mode to the TFT, and then when you move to the TT Travel version, you're getting the full package. You're adding panniers, a bigger windscreen, some wind deflectors as well, plus a fifth ride mode that's user customizable. All three bikes in the V85 lineup benefit from what I believe is Guzzi's signature statement, the transverse V-twin. This is the only bike in this class, the middleweight adventure class, to use an air-cooled transverse V-twin connected to a shaft drive. It's a massive statement of character and authenticity, as they were pointing out. However, for 2024, this power plant benefits by the use of variable valve timing. That not only increases horsepower and torque numbers, but also makes the motor Euro 5 Plus compliant. And an additional benefit to the motor this year is the simple, subtle change of the heads. The head designs have a little bit more of a slope to them, and the saddle as well, oddly, is connected to this in that it positions the rider just slightly farther back. Riding the previous version, I spent a lot of time on the previous V85 TT, and my left knee would often hit the left cylinder when I was riding really aggressive stuff. It wasn't horrible, but it was just a more of a cramped cockpit. The bike visually looks the same, but in over 100 aggressive corners today, I didn't hit the cylinder once, so it was a small thing, but it was, for me, a very big change that made the bike that much more enjoyable. I'm primarily an off-road rider, and as mentioned, I'd spent a lot of time on the previous V85 TT and TT Travel. TT Travel is what we have right here, so this was my first choice to try for this test today. Today's test was all very aggressive, very fun pavement riding with almost zero stretches of straight pavement or highway thrown in. And while all the bikes can hang for sure, the Strada was definitely the standout in the pavement. If you wanted to use something as a canyon carver, that would be the choice among the V85 lineup. When you move to the TT, the addition of things like the spoked wheels and like the skid plate and the dedicated off-road mode, of course, opens up more off-road possibilities. And then when you move to this one, the TT Travel, getting the panniers, the increased wind protection, the fifth customizable mode, this is the full package. This is someone that wants to travel, tour, things like that. So at first glance, the bikes all seem very similar, but with the way they've positioned the different models, they really do target a very different customer base. For my part, the TT Travel is arguably the most practical machine in that you get everything just at the expense of some weight. Overall, if the V85 platform was speaking to customers, it would be a message of something along the lines of heritage, authenticity, uniqueness, things like that. They're very important. This is definitely a performance machine, but there are other machines for sure in this class that would outperform it in various ways on and off-road. One thing that the V85 models offer that no other bike does is an entirely unique experience in that it's the only bike in this class incorporating the iconic transverse V-twin, and it's housed in a chassis that's as nice to look at both while you're riding as when it's parked. Be sure to check out Motorcycle.com for the full written review, where we'll dive into all of Moto Guzzi's updates to the 2024 V85 models and see which one might be right for you. This is John, signing off from Spain. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.